NBC News Radio, I'm Michael Kastner. On Wednesday, the U.S. set the highest number of COVID-19 deaths in one day since May. The toll was almost 1,500, pushing the U.S. ever closer to 170,000 deaths. Staggering loss of life comes amid an ongoing push to reopen the nation's schools. Facebook says it's pulled down more than 7 million misleading COVID-19 posts in the second quarter. It also slapped warnings on nearly 100 million more pieces of virus-related misinformation. Many of the posts included fake prevention measures or baseless cures that could be dangerous. Democratic vice presidential candidate Kamala Harris says the case against President Trump is open and shut.
We don't have to accept the failed government of Donald Trump and Mike Pence. In just 83 days, we have a chance to choose a better future.
California senator made an appearance Wednesday with Democratic presidential candidate Joe Biden and said Trump isn't up to the job and that the U.S. is crying out for leadership. Harris called this a time of unprecedented crisis in the U.S. and slammed President Trump's response to the pandemic. No more sailing this year for Viking Cruises. More from Mark Mayfield.
All ships will stay docked until January because of the pandemic. The company believes that's when the world will be in a better position and international travel less complicated. Many countries still have restrictions in place that won't allow ships across borders. Viking was the first cruise line to suspend service. Most have since vowed not to get back on the water until November.
Cowboys owner Jerry Jones isn't saying if there'll be a policy in place for the national anthem this season. He told reporters yesterday he's going to show grace and would like to do it in a sensitive manner. Jones required Cowboys players to stand for the anthem when the issue first arose in 2017, but says that was then and this is now. Michael Kastner, NBC News Radio.
Here's a coronavirus update from Block Island. All outdoor entertainment licenses have been suspended for the rest of the summer except for weddings. Channel 10 TV News reports the New Shoreham Town Council voted for that action. Good morning and welcome to Coffee Ann, the longest-running panel discussion show in American radio. To make a comment or ask a question to the panel, call 401-766-1240 or email coffee@woonsocket.radio.com. And now, let's join the Coffee Ann panel.
We shall do that. And a good morning to you on Coffee Ann on this Thursday morning. It's August 13th. I'm Joe Callahan. With me, Dave Richards. Good morning to you there, David.
Good morning, Joe. Good morning, everybody. Lovely day.
And joining us on the phone, attorney Bob Lotter. Good morning to you, Bob.
Good morning. Good to be with you.
Good to be glad that you're here with us, Bob, because we're going to put you to the test.
He's going to be mean today again, Bob, I think.
No, I'm not going to be mean.
Oh, okay.
We're just going to...
Just sort of like the constitutional law professor I had.
Yes.
Who always came up with questions as the rest of the class was sort of staring at him, fish-faced. Yeah. Okay.
First, this just came to mind, Bob. You ever see the movie The Paper Chase?
Yes, years ago.
It's terrific, isn't it?
It was very accurate, actually.
Was it? That was my next question.
Yes. Yes.
You had the law professor played by John Houseman. I think in one of his first roles, he was great. And you got the huge classroom, and he had pictures of all his students. Is that part true or is that Hollywood?
Pictures of the students. Well, I went to a school where our class was about 75 people altogether.
Yeah.
And the professor didn't need pictures. They just knew who you were.
Okay. Well, this is the beginning, and then he had it like in his seating plan, little, 2-inch pictures of everybody so he could know who they were.
Mm-hmm.
Did you ever have a teacher that called you by your last name and said, instead of calling you Bob or Robert, they called you Mr. Lotter? Because that's what he.
All of them did, as far as I can recall. Yeah.
Okay, all right. I'm just going to see how much accuracy is in the movie, and in the movie, as it's going along,
they called me that when I was misbehaving.
No, this is just when he was calling on anybody to answer a question. And as the movie's going along, it's very subtle because it's the beginning of the school year, and every seat is filled. And as the movie goes along, less and less people are in the classroom. So it starts out with like 100. By the end, there's about 25.
That was not the way it was when the school I went to.
No.
I think our class started out with about 75 people, and we probably graduated about 70 of them.
Yeah. Okay.
Well, some of the things that we had happening back in those days were not necessarily losses as a result of lack of scholarship, but we also had the closing years of the Vietnam War, and some of our classmates had to go and do active service. Things like
Okay.
that.
Well, in the movie, they just make it out as, well, the class is so tough, and people are just dropping out because it's just they can't hack it academically.
I don't recall very many people doing that.
No?
Now,
Okay.
most of the classes, at the first year at least, were required classes. They weren't elective. So
Yeah.
You couldn't just say, "Oh, I don't want to do this one anymore," because that was part of the active curriculum. You had to do it.
Yeah. Well, I think the theme, not the theme, but what they were trying to get at, people, they were dropping out of the school altogether, and say, all right, I'm not going to be a lawyer anymore. We're just going to stop.
I think most of our guys stuck through it the whole way.
They did? All right.
And I say guys because back when I was going to that particular
Mostly
law
men?
school,
Yeah.
they were all male.
All male. And no females in the class?
No females in the entire school. They
Wow.
went co-ed about 2 or 3 years after I graduated.
Oh, well, that explains that. All right.
Fortunately, moving into the
Manly
20th
men.
century
Men.
slowly,
Yes.
kicking and screaming. But they
Kicking
did.
and screaming into the 20th century. Yeah. All right, Bob. Well, I'm sure you've heard about the story, the situation going on between the neighbors down in Barrington.
Yes.
Okay. Now, according to the Attorney General, he filed a, quote, notice of sentencing enhancement pursuant to the Rhode Island Hate Crimes Sentencing Act, unquote. All right. Have you heard of this? Have you heard of that thing?
Heard of it. I have not
Well,
read
Bob
the
doesn't
act.
do a criminal all the time.
I know he doesn't.
Yeah.
But he's the
And
only lawyer
I
we got.
haven't heard of. Excuse me. I haven't read of the act.
Yeah.
And this is the first time I've really heard of it being implemented, so I can't
Okay.
tell you a whole lot about how the procedure works
Okay.
or what the status would be. I think that one of the defenses that the individual who's charged is going to be raising, would be that of freedom of speech. I have the right to say anything I want to. Of course, there are consequences arising as a result of it. If the classic illustration, if I yell fire in the crowded theater and there's a stampede and people are hurt and there wasn't a fire and I did it deliberately, then I could be held liable for the individuals who were injured in the riot.
All right.
I don't know. Hate crime is different, and
Right.
I really would have to do research on that. And thank goodness it hasn't come up here in Woonsocket that I can recall.
And I'm, I just
There were nicer people in Woonsocket than down in Barrington.
I just question it, Bob. When did it become a crime to call someone a name?
When they passed the Hate Crimes Act.
When did that take place?
90s.
Okay. So, which is good because
They wanted, the reason they did is they wanted to take care of some people who had, I think, effectively lynched a black man, and they wanted them to pay additional penalty.
Where did this take place?
Texas, I think. I don't remember
all right.
exactly. But it was quickly adopted statutes in lots of other things. And it had a new life when the terrorist acts at the beginning of this century came through, passed in a lot of other places. As I recall, Bob, correct me if you think I'm wrong, but the point is they wanted to be able to mete out stronger sentences to those people who were hateful and who victimized someone simply because of their race, ethnicity, and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, and all the other things we're not supposed to discriminate against. So
That sound right, Bob?
Well, I'm looking up at the act right now. It was passed in 1998. Dave is correct on that.
Yeah, you remember
called
that well.
The Hate Crime Sentencing Act. Whenever a person has been convicted of a crime charged by complaint, information, indictment, which he or she intentionally selected the person against whom the offense is committed because of the actor's hatred or animus towards the actual or perceived disability, religion, race, color, national origin, sexual orientation, or gender of that person, the person shall be subject to the penalties provided in this section. And then it goes on to talk about it for misdemeanor charges. Of course, not less than 30 days in prison as a possibility. and for felony charges, it can be up to not less than a year and not more than 5 years for any particular offense. So that seems to be what it is. It's convicted of a offense because of the actor's hatred or animus toward a perceived or actual disability, race, color, religion, national origin, ancestry, or sexual orientation or gender.
Okay.
That's what they're saying.
Now, the defendant here in Barrington was charged with misdemeanors, simple assault and disorderly conduct, but now they're jumping on this hate crime thing, and
because of what he called his neighbor.
I know, and right,
a
and
slur.
So that's right. But then now, Bob, the question becomes: he did call his neighbor a racial slur that starts with the letter N, but the man is Middle Eastern. So he called him an incorrect racial slur. Does that count? If you get you get mad at me and call me that name, are you going to be charged with a hate crime?
I think that the use of the word in common parlance now, as opposed to its use, say, 30 years ago, implies a degree of hatred and disrespect.
All right.
A significant disrespect that could probably raise to that level, although I'm very much troubled by the idea that using any word is in fact a criminal offense in this situation. Excuse me. The fact that I called you something that you were not doesn't necessarily mean that I still didn't have hatred toward you.
Mm-hmm.
If I called you, let's see, something. I said that you were a bigamous person. That I was implying that you were married to more than one spouse.
Mm-hmm.
And that's not true. You're only married to one spouse, so you don't have a spouse at all.
Mm-hmm.
I think that my calling you that is still a pejorative reference toward you. And if I was somehow using that as a element of expressing hate, then I suppose that you are in fact liable to be charged under this act. As I said, I still find it hard to accept that the use of the word itself is going to be sufficient to prove hatred or animus, as according to the terms of the act.
But
now,
in your example,
in his case,
yeah,
where you add assault along with the use of the word, then I think you're making the case stronger for the prosecution, because now you're showing it's not just shouting out something that could be offensive, but you're also putting force behind it. You're striking the individual in some way.
Okay.
Or you're not striking him. Assault is not necessarily striking. Assault can be anything that puts someone in fear.
Oh, I think he pushed the guy down, but I'm not specific on that. But in your example, Bob, calling me a bigamist, I wouldn't say that's hate speech. That would more be a false statement.
I was using that because off the top of my head, it was the most pejorative thing I could think of right now as to how to express the disdain for somebody. I could come up with some of the really pejorative words, but you can't use them on air, and I wouldn't use them anyway.
Well, I can try.
We're talking about hurtful speech, right, Bob?
Yeah.
Yes.
Trying to hurt someone by words.
By calling him a name.
Even if it was, okay, let's use a really far-out example. Your mother wears combat boots. Okay. And you really love your mother, and she's a very ladylike person, and it's not true, and he says it in front of other people, and now you got to defend her honor, and your heart's full of you're very upset about the fact this guy just accused your mother of being unladylike. So that's a far-out example of what we're looking at. Did I get that right, Bob?
I don't think anybody's used that term since about 1953. But
no, you're right about that. But the point is, it doesn't have to be right, I think was the point we were making, right?
Yes.
It doesn't have to be truthful for it to be hurtful.
Correct.
All right. Well, we brought this is the example we brought up on Monday with this, and I was talking with Charlie Baldelli, and I said, what if Charlie and I get into a heated exchange, and I call him
You're going to lose.
I call him a name of an Italian descent, a person of Italian descent, and the word begins with W, okay?
Well, that would be that's an acronym actually, and it has to do with one's immigration status.
Okay, but does it carry the same kind of hateful speech as the N-word does? Or are people just going to, laugh at you?
If it affects him the same way it would, wouldn't it, Bob?
I think it...
Because it's going to be subjective to how much it hurts.
Looking at the statute, it seems to say that because the offense is because of the actor's hatred or animus against the actual or perceived sexual orientation, all that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I think that you have to have an actual offense other than the word.
Okay, so if you're just using the word, you're okay. But if you add to it with actions like the simple assault, we can add on the hate crime.
It looks that way to me. It's
okay.
Charged with an offense committed against a selected person. So I think you have to have an offense that shows the hatred or animus.
Okay.
And the word itself and shouting it at someone, I don't think constitutes an offense in as much as that can be free speech. I think that what the offense has to be would be some actual action on the part of the individual other than the shouting of the epithet.
Gotcha. All right. Does now, in your opinion, then, Bob, is this going to hold up? Will this the sentencing enhancement of hate crimes will he be? From what you know, do you think he'll be found guilty of this? Because he readily admits using the word.
Okay. Excuse me. I can't tell you whether he'd be found guilty. I can tell you the procedure it's going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
If he's been charged with a misdemeanor, the case is going to be brought before the district court of the county in which he is a resident. And the district court has the right to have a trial, but it will be a trial in front of a judge alone without a jury. And he may or may not plead guilty ahead of time, or he may be able to work out some kind of plea bargain with the prosecuting attorney. And if he's not happy with the decision of the judge, or he decides he wants to have a jury trial, then he takes an appeal to the Superior Court, and it eventually goes before a jury. I would suspect that if he, in fact, is charged with the assault on the neighbor, pushing him to the ground, excuse me, then this added on charge of having it involved with a hatred or animus toward the neighbor can be legitimately attached to the assault charge, and yes, he could be found guilty of both.
All right.
The General said exactly that in their statement to the press. You didn't get a chance to. Oops, sorry. Bob,
try that again, Bob.
The Attorney General said just those words.
Yeah.
In his statement that you didn't get a chance to see. Came to us as a press release. The Attorney General said, "All right, so either he's guilty or he isn't. Someone else is going to decide that. But we see enough evidence so that if he is guilty,
putting this on top of it,
we think that we're going to ask for additional punishment because of the hateful nature of the incident."
Okay. All right. Well, that settles that. So the whole thing
we got something settled here.
From elementary school, sticks and stones may break my bones, but names will never hurt me is kind of out the window.
Right.
All right. I guess I can't say that in elementary school anymore. More of Coffee In is coming your way. We ask you to please stay tuned. Comments and questions can be called in 766-1240 or email them in to coffee@wonsocketradio.com. Sourdough pizza tasting class is coming to the Honey Shop. They will start class with a sourdough pizza tasting, and then you'll make your own sourdough. Everyone will get dough to proof and bake at home. The Honey Shop's secret recipe will be shared, and each person will get their own jar of sourdough starter. The starter will make fresh bread until eternity if given good care. Care instructions provided in class. This is a sugar-free, no preservative, easily digestible, and all-natural bread. This sourdough pizza tasting class is at the Honey Shop, 1300 Park Avenue, Woonsocket, on Sunday, September 13th at 11 a.m. Go to the Honey Shop's Facebook page for ticket information. If you love food, you'll love the Honey Shop.
When it comes to emergency service for plumbing and heating, you can't beat C.J. Nemus, 37 Corey Street in Woonsocket. C.J. Nemus offers over 15 years of experience and is licensed in both Rhode Island and Massachusetts. C.J. Nemus offers complete heating system service, plumbing, water heaters, plus drain and sewer cleaning. Remember that senior citizens receive a 10% discount. So give Charlie a call today at CJ Nemus, 769-4776. They're registered with the Better Business Bureau. They're a master plumber with quality service. It's the only way and the best way. With CJ Nemus, call today, 769-4776 for CJ Nemus.
The Coffee and Panel is enjoying coffee from Down East Coffee in Pawtucket. They're a 62-year-old family business that roasts all its coffee right here in Rhode Island. Founded originally as Excellent Coffee Company, they provide great coffee to food service establishments throughout New England.
We're local and live at 99.5 FM.
All right, it is Coffee and on ON, AM, and FM. Joe Callahan here, along with Dave Richards and Bob Lauder. And Bob's going to go early today, Dave, because court is calling.
Down the hall and to the left, Joe.
Yeah, so we're going to move Bob's segment to right now. So, Bob, time for first message from your law office.
Great, thank you. As you know, I repeat a lot of the commercials that I've done over the years, and I'd like to talk with you this morning about one that was only from last May. Start with an announcement that a short story that my good friend Marilyn Pelican sent to me. My buddy Dave was a single guy, living at home with his father and working in the family business. He knew that he would inherit a fortune once his sickly father died. Dave wanted two things. One, he wanted to learn how to invest his inheritance, and two, he wanted to find a wife to share his fortune. One evening at an investment meeting, he spotted the most beautiful woman he had ever seen. Her natural beauty took his breath away. "Hey, I must just look like an ordinary man," he said to her. "In just a few years, my father will die, and I'll inherit $20 million. Impressed, the woman obtained his business card. 2 weeks later, she became his stepmother. Women are so much better at estate planning than men. Well, I can't match that type of estate planning. I can assist you with the less exciting, heart-pounding kind. That's the kind that makes sure that your wishes and desires are respected and fulfilled after your death. There's the least amount of conflict and controversy. If you think my office may be assistance to you in this or other legal matters, please contact me for a telephone conference. My name is Bob Lauder. My telephone number is area code 401-762-4550. And the disclaimer, the Supreme Court of Rhode Island licenses all attorneys in the general practice of law. The court does not license to certify any attorney as an expert or specialist in any field of practice. Thank you.
All right, Bob. Now,
so Bob, what this guy is doing is trying to contort the concept of reliance upon something. Is that the whole thing? Hey, he was supposed to give it to me. Well, I relied on the fact that I was going to get that inheritance, so now I've got to get it because something.
I think that the guy is probably out of luck.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if he was out of luck, but
well, he'll get something, but he won't get.
But does reliance work as a concept, as a basis of a claim, when the other party really didn't mean it anyway?
Well, yes.
I relied on you saying yes, so you owe me.
It depends entirely on the subject of what your reliance is. If I say to you, "I will sell you my car for $50," and you say, "Great, that's wonderful. Here's the $50." I may, in fact, be obligated to sell you my car for $50.
Yes.
Now, usually, the concept is that with land, if I said I'll sell you this acre of land for $50, I can't be held to it because of statute of frauds. But there's been some litigation and cases recently in Rhode Island where I think I've used this in a commercial before, where a father said that he was going to sell his land to his son, and the son, over the years, paid the mortgage and the insurance and things like that on the land, the taxes. And then when Dad changed his mind and decided to sell it to strangers, the son said, "Hey, I relied on you. I paid all this money on your behalf for the land, and you have to sell it to me." And the court said, yes, he does.
Exactly.
So the nature of the element of property that's being part of the transaction, the verbal promise, has a bearing on whether or not the verbal promise is going to have to be fulfilled.
Okay. So, Bob, I know you're going to be going soon, but so one of your courts has shifted to River Island Art Park?
Yes. The probate court in the city of Woonsocket usually meets in City Hall.
Okay.
And City Hall is still closed because of the COVID-19.
Mm-hmm.
And for several months now, the probate court has not been able to meet at all. But Judge Courtney has worked out a plan where last month, I believe, and this is going to be the second hearing. They're going to hold it down in River Island Park, which, of course, is outside, so it doesn't have the same closed confinement area that the City Hall would for COVID. And on a nice day like this, it should be pretty interesting.
Now, are they bringing down some kind of PA system so everyone can hear? Meaning,
I doubt it, because
no, okay.
Usually in probate court, it's different from regular court in as much as a lot of the time the conversations between the judge and the attorneys is held right there at the bench and is fairly muffled just by virtue of how people talk, and not audible to the people in the audience who are really have no interest in that particular probate case and are just waiting for their case to arrive.
Okay. But if it does concern you, will there be any problem in hearing everybody?
I don't think so.
No, when you stand at 6 feet away.
And the probate clerk also records all of the testimony and all of the statements before the judge, so that if you need to have a transcript because of any type of conflict between the parties, then the transcript can be made available to you.
Okay, for your perusal at a later time, I guess.
Right.
Okay, but you have pretty good hearing, so you don't have you won't have any problems, right, Bob?
Maybe not hearing problems. I know who knows what other problems I can cause. Yeah.
So, how many?
He might have a halibut problem, but never herring.
Oh! Throw him out.
I can't, Bob. He owns the place. So.
Oh, darn.
So, do you have, when these cases come up, do you have more than one, or is it you just going down there for one case?
Well, today we're going down there for 5 because they sort of backed up during the last 2 or 3 months.
Well, that makes sense. Will it
none
be?
None of them are cases that have a immediate emergency.
Yeah.
If we had an immediate emergency type case, so for example, a parent has suddenly had a major stroke, has become incompetent. A child comes forward and says there's action that has to be taken on behalf of mother to get a guardian appointed for her, and we can't wait for the next probate court hearing. Judge Courtney will always consider an emergency hearing on something like that. None of the cases that I have required any kind of emergency hearing. They're pretty straightforward. We're bringing in an accounting to show what a guardian has done with the assets during the last year that he's managed the assets for the ward, stuff like that.
Okay. Well, Bob, you're our favorite left-wing political person on Coffee and.
Yes, thank God there's one of us.
Yes. So I need to know your opinions on Joe Biden's selection of Kamala Harris as his running mate. Good choice, bad choice? You excited about the whole thing? I
think Senator Harris is an extraordinary individual.
Mm-hmm.
I was watching last night some of the replays of the interrogations that she had made of Attorney General Barr before the Senate, about a year ago. And she is able to pinpoint issues and get down to basics and to be very, very strong in trying to find answers to things. I think that Senator Harris is going to be a hard-working person who really knows how to do things. I think that she'll be the one who would, certainly Vice President Biden, but I think that Senator Harris will be the kind of person who actually attends the briefings, security briefings, and reads reports and understands and is able to hold people to accountability. I think that she is an extraordinarily good choice.
Okay.
The fact that people are going to be saying, well, she's from California, she's left wing, and we know what they're going to be doing. They're taking away the Bible and they're taking away the police. Well, she's had years as being a prosecutor out in California, where she apparently incarcerated a lot of people.
Yeah. And
so I don't think she's particularly soft on criminal activity in the least.
Well, that was my other question for you. I know you haven't. I don't expect you to have done a whole lot of research on her background, but she was the Attorney General in California, and you don't become that by being a lousy lawyer, right? I mean, you got to be pretty good at what you're doing.
I was watching her on the bar interchange. She was very, very pointed. She went right to the issues. Mm-hmm. And when Attorney General Barr was trying to equivocate and go off track and say, she brought him back to it and really nailed in what she wanted him to be answering.
Mm-hmm.
And she's very good that way and strong.
Okay. So you give it the thumbs up, the Bob Lauder seal of approval.
Of course, that probably, I'm the guy who thought that Calvin Coolidge was going to lose, too. So,
Well, you voted for him, didn't you?
Well, I just worked on behind the scenes on his campaign in 1924. Yeah.
All right. I know Bob's got to get going because he's got to get over to probate court over at River Island Park. He says they're going to have court over there. I think Bob's just going to hang out by the Blackstone River and fish. But
hey, that would be great.
Just feed the ducks.
Just feed the ducks. Don't feed them any bread. That's bad. It's bad for the ducks.
It is?
Yeah, you don't feed bread to ducks.
What do you feed them?
You know what they like?
Corn.
Corn, and they like lettuce and grapes. You don't feed them bread.
I'm not walking along Main Street carrying a head of lettuce heading toward the park.
All right,
even
Bob.
I have a reputation to uphold. Come on.
Bob, we need to get a second message from your law office before you disappear, okay?
Thank you. A recent article in the Evening News reported that with the COVID-19 unofficial quarantining in place, the nerves and the emotions of a lot of us are beginning to reach the breaking point with regard to our own personal relationships with those with whom we're confined. Quite simply, we can't stand the other people we're with. In the event the behavior of someone who is self-quarantining with you has reached the point where it's become physically or emotional threat to you, you should consider securing a restraining order from the court. This order will restrain that individual from having contact, both physical contact and telephone or internet contact with you, and will serve to remove that individual from your place of residence. Even in the COVID-19 lockdown, the courts will consider issuing ex parte restraining orders on an emergency basis. It does not require an attorney to file such a restraining order. If you live in the northern Rhode Island area, you should telephone the Domestic Violence Coordinator at 401-458-3372 to discuss the problem and arrange an appointment. If your relationship has been confirmed by marriage and you believe it would be in your best interest to consider divorce, I'd be pleased to discuss that issue with you. You may call me for a telephone conference. My name is Bob Lauder. My telephone number is area code 401-762-4550. And the disclaimer. The Supreme Court of the State of Rhode Island licenses all attorneys in the general practice of law. The court does not license and certify any attorney as an expert or specialist in any field of practice. Thank you.
All right, Bob, thank you very much for joining us today, and we will talk to you next Thursday here on the Coffee and program.
Thank you. Thanks.
Say hi to court for us.
Yeah. Thank you.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye now. All right, time for the weather forecast, which is being sponsored by Staples Stores. Today, we are looking at... there we go. We are looking at a sunny day today, partly sunny actually, with a high near 89. So yeah, the heat wave, it stops today because we dropped to 89. It feels much better. And it's going to be warm. And tonight, mostly cloudy, low around 66. Friday, mostly sunny, high near 84. Friday night, partly cloudy, low 64. Saturday, partly sunny, high near 80. Sunday, mostly cloudy, and a 40% chance of showers on Sunday with a high near 78. And currently outside the Navigant Credit Union Broadcast Studio on the corner of Park Avenue and Kennedy Street with sunny skies, we have 83 degrees. School goes on. Staples has everything to start the year right no matter where school happens, and all at amazing prices. School on and save on at Staples.
Here's an update from Wright's Dairy Farm in North Smithfield. Wright's Dairy Farm is operating with a no-contact curbside pickup. Your order can be placed online where you pick a specific date and time to pick it up. You can also visit wrightsdairyfarm.com and place your order online. But now, you can also order directly from your vehicle from the Wright's Dairy Farm parking lot, and they'll bring it right out to you. They're always stocked with their full line of dairy products, baked goods, and ice cream. And speaking of ice cream, the Wright's Dairy Farm ice cream trailer is now open. Stop by the Wright Scoop for a cup or a cone of their farmstead ice cream. Wright's Dairy Farm is open 7 days a week, Monday through Saturday, 8 a.m. to 7 p.m. and Sundays, 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. Wright's Dairy Farm on Woonsocket Hill Road in North Smithfield. Real cows, real food, real people, real good.
When you want to know what's coming up in your town, there's news, as it's reported, and there are public notices. Public notices, also called legal ads, are placed by cities and towns in newspapers to alert you of important meetings that'll be coming up soon. At the Valley Breeze newspapers, you'll find public notices right up front, generally on page 4. They aren't tiny, hard-to-read ads in the back of the paper. In the Breeze, ads are easy to find and read. We want you to know. In addition, all public notices are placed online at valleybreeze.com, where they remain posted until the public meeting is passed. It's just the right thing to do. If you live in Cumberland, Lincoln, North Smithfield, or another local town, you'll find public notices in the Breeze every week and online at valleybreeze.com. Go to the homepage and click Public Notices. You'll find them all. Breeze public notices that will keep you informed, ahead of the crowd, in the paper and online. Thanks for noticing.
Hi, this is Gary Smith. Join me for Do You Remember, Tuesday through Friday mornings at 9:30 here on ON Radio.
All right, thanks, Gary. It is Coffee In on ON AM and FM. This is Joe Callahan with Dave Richards, and Do You Remember with Gary Smith will be on at 9:30 this morning.
In all probability.
On ON Radio. We do have a message that was written in, coffee@onesocketradio.com, and it just says, well. Kamala Harris, isn't she the one who kept grilling Biden debate after debate on the podium? And now she's his friend. However, it's a sensible choice with everything in turmoil. Politics. Trump's calls her a phony and disrespectful. Conventions are in a few days. But first we must straighten out all these disturbances across the country. Well, those won't be straightened out before next week. And that is a monumental task. Yes, it is. Yep. Those things won't be taken care of until after the election, by the way.
I knew that Bob wasn't going to be with us for long, so I kind of held my tongue while he was talking. But quite frankly, I didn't see any of Ms. Harris's work that Bob was citing in his comments about her.
Well, you had to go back a few years. It's back when Attorney General Barr was up for nomination.
No, I don't have to.
Well, that's what Bob did. That's what he was looking at.
That's what everybody else is doing, right? I've only heard a couple of soundbite clips from this woman.
Okay.
I give points for, okay, it's partisan, it's Democrats are good, everyone else is evil. I get that. You got to say that when you're the nominee. And so a lot of that stuff I take with a grain of salt. But I will tell you this. In the way she forms her words and sentences, and the tone of her voice, in her demeanor so far, of the 4 people running for high office in this upcoming general election, that would be the current president and vice president, or Mr. Biden and Ms. Kamala
Harris.
Well, Ms. Harris Kamala. I'm practicing how to say her first name right.
It's comma, like the punctuation mark.
Kamala.
Like
right.
la.
Yeah.
Okay.
like the song. I can't wait for Saturday Night Live to get back in the studio again, because they're going to go back to the old Richard Rodgers musical Camelot.
Oh, yeah, I'm sure they will.
Kamala. Where it only rains at night. But her work aside, like a lot of people, I would really like to be able to trust our president and our vice president. I'd really like to have them represent me before the rest of the world in a way that is more close to how I live my life and what my ideals are. I know there's a lot more to being a president or a vice president, but those are the things that I'm pointing out in this comment. And she's the only one of the 4 that impresses me as someone who is rational, tolerant, presidential.
Okay.
My idea of what you need to be presidential. Yes, you have to sometimes be the diplomat, although diplomacy only works with other diplomats. But it's a game that's played that keeps tensions low and keeps at least some facade of respect that can be used in negotiations in the future. Instead of just saying what creeps everybody is, which is our president's way of doing business now, and making fun and mocking people, I was never brought up that way. So I'd feel more comfortable voting for a president. Now, of course, person, Kamala Harris, is not running for president.
Mm-hmm.
But since we can only consider 4, and she could be president under certain tragic circumstances and happy circumstances. When I say happy, that would be that her party wins and Mr. Biden becomes the president, and then tragic because Mr. Biden can't complete his term of office. So when you look at all of that, I'm saying, you know, she's the only one of the 4 that I could picture being presidential of the little I know her.
Okay. I'm sure you'll hear a lot more.
Oh, yeah.
About her
Well, that's
as
the whole
as
purpose of the
go
campaign,
forward.
isn't it?
Yes.
For it to become acquainted with these people. And I'm certainly not going to go by what her opponents say about her.
Well, right.
I'd rather see her in action and see if my initial reaction to her was is held up or is not.
Well, I hope it doesn't go in this direction, and I'm afraid it might. And it all comes down to race, Dave. And because
you know,
and we're,
I heard radio
and we're
sound
splitting
bites. I have
hairs.
no idea what she looks like.
Well, I do. Okay.
Well, that's okay,
And
but
she
I
is.
heard radio sound bites, and I have no idea what she looks like, so I
Okay.
can't even be thinking about race right now.
But I just wonder if it's going to be brought up because technically, all right, technically, she's actually not African American.
Okay.
Yet she sometimes claims to be. And people have
Is that
done
like Elizabeth claims to be Indian sometimes?
sometimes, yeah. And her mother, her mother is of Indian descent, like from India.
Okay.
And her father is Jamaican.
Which might be black.
Yeah, but they don't consider themselves, from what I've read.
Yeah?
We're not
Caribbeans?
If you're African American, you're Africa.
Oh, okay. This would be Carib.
This is something else.
A Carib.
That's right.
Yeah.
But
the Caribbean comes from the word Carib.
Now, is she a person of color? Yes. But is she? But sometimes she'll say, or has said in the past, and I think just to be easy, yes, I'm African American.
Well,
because I
if
look
she
like
has
that.
dark skin, then
she
chances
does.
are she's been treated that way.
That's right.
So she has the experience of living that life. So whether the blood is this, that, or the other thing, I mean, heck, look at me, you know. I look like a regular guy, and okay, so I'm a quarter Swedish and a quarter French Canadian, a quarter British English, and a quarter Cherokee Indian. How does that? Do I look like that? Do I care? No.
No.
So what? People are going to look at me and say, "Oh, he's a white dude."
Well, yes.
Yeah, well, they do the same generalization.
They will.
On the other
All
side
under
of the aisle.
one
They do.
one umbrella.
So, right.
All right, moving on. Front page story in today's call: woman accused of breaking into New York lunch. And
she had to be skinny. I've stood at that window a number of times. I put money in the tip jar.
That is a small window.
Yeah.
Does it say in the story, Dave? I haven't read the whole thing. How she might have broken the window? Is there a rock or something inside the New York lunch?
It makes no reference to that
No?
I saw.
Okay.
But
So
it doesn't take much to break a window if you really want to break a window.
Well, she got in.
Yeah.
And stole the tip jar.
Right.
Had about $300 worth of cash in there, and
which is kind of interesting.
That's the only thing she took from it.
If it was my tip jar, I would have divvied it up at the end of the shift.
Yeah, I don't know why it was
had
left
an empty
on the
tip jar.
Unless it's an oversight.
It's not. It's
left
not
them-
really for us to say. That's a private
Yeah.
matter. Tips are personal.
Yeah.
You know. So how they do it, they may wait to the end of the week and average it out amongst all the staff, not just the ones that work that day.
Yeah.
You don't know why.
So her name is Raylonda.
Yeah.
Maiva Johnson.
Yeah.
37, facing charges of breaking into a building with criminal intent, breaking into a dwelling
She lived
house.
over on Essie Street.
Yep. Obtaining money under false pretenses, receiving stolen property. She was up for. She had a warrant out for her because allegedly she broke in, stole a TV set from another place, and tried to pawn it.
Right.
Okay.
She tried to pawn it over at Gold and Silver.
Yeah.
Not Gold and Silver.
No.
It's Gold Pawn.
Gold Loan.
Gold Loan. Okay.
Okay.
Right.
Wow.
Which is not too far away from New York Lunch. Of course, they have several locations. But
Yep. All right. Well, yeah, she climbed through the broken, according to the police and surveillance video. She climbed through the broken window to enter the luncheonette and snatched the tin cup full of tips. All right.
Amazing.
But the police, and now this took place on, what, July 30th?
Yeah.
That's when the break-in took place?
They discovered it July the 30th.
Yeah,
It could have been
okay.
late on the 29th.
And so, took the police, I don't know, 10 days.
Well,
Get on
even if you know who
and
you're
catch
looking
her.
for,
Yeah, you got to find them.
do you know
Yeah.
where they live? I've seen this person around, but they found her walking the streets Sunday morning at 2 a.m.
Okay.
So I call that pretty good police work.
That is. We know where she lives. We know where she probably, in what circle
Well, they may not have known
is.
where she lived.
And we'll, maybe not. Yeah.
But they may have known what she looked like,
Yeah.
not knowing who she was, and said, I think I've seen that person walking the streets. We'll keep our eyes peeled. And very sharp police officer, at night yet, with a dark-skinned woman, was able to identify her from the photo in the surveillance. That is remarkable police work.
It is. It is. So kudos to the Woonsocket Police Department. We're going to take our final break here on the Coffee and program, but more is coming your way. And comments and questions can be written in coffee@woonsocketradio.com or call them in 766-1240.
I'm here with Kara Benjamin of the Benjamin Insurance Agency. Kara, tell me about your agency.
Sure. We started our agency from scratch, which means we opened with no customers. We have grown because of all the family, friends, and locals that supported us over the years. We are proudly woman-owned and operated since 2006. We're a family business, mother and daughter team, so you get two different generations coming together to get the best of both worlds.
You're in good hands with Allstate and Kara and Celeste Benjamin of the Benjamin Insurance Agency, 125 Eddie Dowling Highway, across from Dowling Village in North Smithfield, 765-5000.
Our business is truly a referral business, and we have built it based on our premier service level and commitment to what we do. If you are looking for personalized service with people who care, that would be us.
Right now is the time for a tune-up on your vehicle. Charlie's Tire and Service Center reminds everyone that they are an authorized dealer of name brand tires like BF Goodrich, Uniroyal, Michelin, and Cooper tires. They also offer the best in mechanical repairs and service. You can't beat Charlie's Tire, 825 South Main Street, Bellingham. Charlie's Tire also offers the best in truck and high-performance tires, and they accept all major credit cards. So for top service at fair prices, for tires or mechanical repairs, it's Charlie's Tires. Remember, to get a tune-up on your vehicle, to keep your car running smooth, call Charlie's Tires, 508-883-1211.
Hi, it's Huge Groove. And I'm Dave Koz, and coming up this weekend on the Dave Koz Radio Show, Huge Groove will be here in our studios. He's always a great guest, so you'll want to check it out. And new music from his new album as well to share. Remember to visit DaveKoz.com for more information and listen in this weekend for Huge Groove and yours truly on the Dave Koz Radio Show.
Hi, fans of smooth jazz. The Dave Koz Radio Show can only be heard on ON AM and FM, 1240 AM, 99.5 FM, twice every Sunday, 6 a.m. to 8 a.m., and again 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. The Dave Koz Radio Show is brought to you by the Carew Investment Group. It's the Dave Koz Radio Show every Sunday right here on
ON, AM, and FM.
All right, it is Coffee Ann here on ON, AM, and FM, 1240 AM, 99.5 FM.
I don't know if we should have said that on the air.
Well, I don't think we did, so we're okay.
Okay, good. Joe and I were having a private conversation while the recordings were running, folks.
So this is I find this amusing, Dave. It's weird. It's funny the things I find amusing. At the beginning of the summer...
It's peculiar, you mean.
Yes. At the beginning of the summer, all the businesses on our favorite island, Block Island, said, nobody's coming, and we need the money, and we're all going to, how are we going to make it through the winter, and blah, 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 blah.
Well, that would be a normal concern.
Okay.
They got banks to pay.
So guess what happened?
What?
Everybody went.
Yeah.
Well, not everybody.
Well, when they couldn't leave the state.
That's right. More people are now going to Block Island.
Right.
And so your public intoxication has gone up. Your moped crashes have gone up. That boy just died.
Yeah.
So other motor vehicle crashes are going up.
And the driver, a young girl, was charged with DUI. We don't know if it has not been proven yet. But
no, but that's what she's charged with.
It adds to the points you're making.
So now look at what their town council has done. And they've taken back all the outdoor entertainment licenses for everybody.
Yep.
They might not have had any problems, and they admit some places haven't had any problems.
Right.
But we can't segregate. We can't pick and choose. So it's everybody. So there'll be no more fun on Block Island.
I don't think they mean it that way.
No. Visitors to the island are not following social distancing guidelines. The governor said yesterday Block Island situation needs to get better and that the executive action might be needed. And what else I read is, so all this outdoor, whatever they were doing on Block Island is going to go away, except if you have a wedding planned.
Well,
and that's been improved by the state.
Right.
That you can have your wedding there. That's okay.
Well, yeah, because now you're talking about people losing thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars for, because weddings just aren't cheap these days. You know, I know people who have had weddings that you could buy a small house for what they spent on their wedding.
Yeah.
Seriously, I was one. I photographed one. These lovely young kids went to Aruba and had their service on the beach at sunset.
Oh, yeah. Nice.
They brought their family, their friends.
It's a destination wedding is what they're called.
Yeah, and they paid for an enormous meal at whatever the doggone rate was down there on that island. It wasn't cheap. I mean, they probably could have lived for a year on what they paid for their wedding. But they saved up for years, and that's what they wanted, and that's what they got, and they're very happy about it. It kind of pales in comparison to the fabulous Denise and I. Our 46th wedding anniversary is coming up in a few weeks, and I recall that, you know, wedding at the church. Everybody, y'all come at the local KFC hall, and then we were on our own in a car I had that cost me $100. It was used Oldsmobile, and we just went out for the weekend and had to be back at work on Monday. This is Saturday wedding. So we went out and spent like Sunday somewhere else and came back to work on Monday because we couldn't afford to lose a paycheck.
Okay. But, you know,
that was the way it was back then.
But I thought about this stuff. It had to be back in June or early July. And I thought about, maybe we should go to Block Island. It was a nice day, and I'm like, and you know, living in Mass, the restrictions weren't there.
Isn't it funny you'd say that? Have you ever been there?
Yes, about 5 times.
That's the whole thing. I have spent most of my life looking at Block Island from the north, looking down to the North Bluffs from East Matunic State Beach.
Okay.
I've flown over it a couple times in commercial airliners. Have never set foot on Block Island, ever.
See, but because of the travel restrictions and, well, don't go there and don't go there and don't go there, well, Block Island's close by. So I'm thinking a lot of Rhode Islanders, hey, we've never been.
Right.
Or we've been and we like it. So it's just getting more and more crowded.
And you're just dealing with younger people who have not yet learned the consequences of their action. When it's party time, they party a little too much. They have not seen the rotten things that can happen to you when you're in a party atmosphere and forget about safety. And so they make mistakes. We all just pray that they survive them. One young boy didn't.
Correct. But I do recommend, if you've never been, I mean, go sometime. Maybe
We've been
not right
thinking
now.
about it. We've been thinking about it. Yeah, Denise and I have both been thinking about it.
In the off-season.
And, well, I don't know if we want to go off-season, because we're only going to go for a day or two.
Okay.
Because we have to work, too. But, I mean, we were thinking about it. I know when I was growing up, this is the reason why I never went to Block Island, was that my elders always told me, it's a tourist trap. Don't go there. You waste your money. There's nothing there when you get there, and it's like everything costs $1 billion, and it costs you money to get out, money to get back. Because I always asked, hey, let's all go over to... No, let's not do that. So, but we've been to Martha's Vineyard and Nantucket. We've never been to Block Island.
I wouldn't say it's a tourist trap. However...
Well, that's what they told me back then.
When you get off the ferry, there's a bunch of shops right in front of you.
And why wouldn't you have a bunch of shops?
They're selling
free
food.
Choice.
Yeah. And, you know, that's where you get your Block Island T-shirts and your Block Island sweatshirts. And, okay, they're right there. And then when you go farther off, well, that's where the restaurants are.
Right.
But right next to where you get off on the ferry is a town beach. Or State Beach, actually.
Yeah.
It's nice, and you can lay on that beach and just watch the ferry go by every once in a while, and so you can go to Block Island and not spend a lot of money, just for the ferry ride, of course.
Cool.
So,
might just do that.
And yeah, you can rent bikes, you can rent mopeds, and
of course, in recent years, the fabulous Denise and I have been quite happy with just going down to. Jerusalem, out at the rocks,
off
Point Judith, right? and just go out into the rocks. Same rocks I played on with my sisters and stuff like that when we were kids. And we go out a little bit and find some flat rocks, pitch up a chair, sit down and watch the traffic.
There you go.
Man, I'll tell you. You come back all relaxed and warm and fuzzy and all the rest of that stuff.
All right, I heard one of you.
We like it.
I heard one of your stories this morning, Dave, and yeah, you just can't drive 100 miles an hour on Interstate 93 in New Hampshire.
Oh gosh, yeah.
That girl from Worcester, was caught going 100 miles an hour. Maybe she just doesn't drive on that stretch of highway a lot, because I have, of all the times I've driven on Route 93 in New Hampshire, I have never not seen a state trooper somewhere along the road.
Oh, yeah?
Every single time. At least one. In both directions, north and south. So they're always on that stretch of highway, especially near the border, catching people flying over the border coming up into New Hampshire.
That's right.
Now, it doesn't say where she was caught, does she? Going 100
no,
in exactly what town?
And I don't... I thought I got the impression that she was being pursued. Are the facts in there, or did I get the wrong idea?
She's just accused of reckless driving out of state. Trooper says she was going 100 miles an hour on 93, which has a 70-mile-an-hour speed limit. So I don't know if she was being chased, like, out of Massachusetts into New Hampshire. Doesn't really say.
Well, you can't do that stuff and get caught and expect no consequences. Do you have a story that I marked number 6 over there?
Yes.
I want you to read that one, because I read that one on the air several times already today, and not one time has it been comfortable. It seems to not make sense to me.
Oh, okay.
Will you read it and see if you can make better sense out of it than I did?
A woman who was a passenger in a truck that was fired at by police on Route 95 in Providence in 2017 has filed a lawsuit. Is that what that incident that happened right near the Dunkin' Donuts Center?
I don't think so. This is 195, if I recall.
No, it's Route 95.
It is 95?
Yeah.
Okay. Might have been.
So the woman who was a passenger in a truck...
Yeah, no, start it from the beginning. You read it word for word, because this is the problem.
All right. A woman who was a passenger in a truck that was fired at by police on I-95 in Providence in 2017 has filed a lawsuit. Christine Demers was the boyfriend of Joseph Santos. Girlfriend.
Look at his face, folks.
Yeah.
Oh, no, I'm on camera. But you look at his face. He's doing the same thing I did at 4 o'clock this morning looking at this story.
I don't think they just got their tenses.
Well, no. It gets worse as you go.
All right. Boyfriend of Joseph Santos, who was being chased by police in connection to a search for another suspect prior to being fatally shot. Yeah, this is the thing I'm thinking about. Demers was also hit by gunfire. And the suit says she has suffered extensive physical problems.
Okay.
All right. The suit names the police officers involved, the City of Providence, and the Rhode Island State Police.
Okay.
Yeah, I think someone typed it really fast.
Yeah, I think so.
She's the girlfriend of Joseph Santos.
Well, I recorded it for later broadcast, but when I read it, I said that might mean girlfriend.
Yeah.
But it says boyfriend here.
Yeah, the police were searching for another person,
right?
And then this truck looked the same, and they actually boxed it in,
right?
And then they shot at them. The police did, and I can't remember why. Probably because he wasn't. Maybe they weren't.
I don't know.
Answering the questions correctly. He might have been the one that didn't understand English. If I can. But I just can't remember.
Whatever. You knew that litigation was coming out of a situation like that.
She feels she's been shot wrongly, and now
is there a way to be shot rightly?
No, that's just the way it is. All right, let's see what other silliness is going on around the country.
Is it silly time?
Yeah, pumpkin spice. People are already getting ready for the fall, Dave. It's 90 degrees out. And we got to get ready for the fall. Pumpkin spice season is starting very soon.
Correction, Joe. It's only going to be 89 today, not 90 degrees.
It's already 85. Eager customers around the country can get the pumpkin spice latte next Wednesday.
Can't wait.
When it rolls out.
Like the Hallmark Channel. You want to watch some Christmas time movies.
Well, they stopped them.
Last month is the way to do it.
Yeah.
Right? All the month of July, you can see them all.
A new chai latte.
In case you're too busy in December.
Will also be available, but only for a limited time. Dunkin's limited fall menu will also include pumpkin-flavored coffees. It's like yesterday. Hershey put out the Halloween candy.
Yeah.
Early. because they're worried about whether or not trick-or-treating is going to happen. So if we put up the candy early, people might buy it earlier.
Well,
so
there you go. But, the interesting thing about that is that they probably make it quite a bit in advance.
Oh, sure.
And so they've got to distribute it now.
Anyway, yeah.
And hopefully use up what they made, because they don't want to have some of that stuff hanging around.
Mm-hmm. I heard about this yesterday, Dave. An Ohio UPS store, and we have a few UPS stores.
We do, one in Cumberland on Mendon Road that's very helpful.
Is there one in North Smithfield, or is that not there anymore?
That one's not there anymore.
Okay. So an Ohio UPS store owner drove over 1,200 miles to get a package delivered on time.
Ooh.
Did it himself.
How many miles?
1,200. He drove from Ohio to Florida. And I don't know why he didn't fly it.
Well, I'll tell you, trucking and delivery has been a bear recently.
Well, yeah. Things have
And we're
taken
not
a long time.
casting aspersions on any one company. They've all had their issues.
Ardeshir Agayi and his wife Gail owned the store in Chagrin Falls, Ohio, and decided to hand-deliver paintings to a customer in Naples, Florida, when they realized they couldn't provide the overnight shipping that had been promised.
Right.
The owner left early on Thursday and got to Florida early the next day.
Right.
He then turned around and got back to Ohio in time to open the store on a Saturday morning. That is dedication.
That is dedication.
Ardeshir says in these times of COVID-19, a little kindness goes a long way.
I hope he got a tip.
It does not say.
Because seriously, that's going to be like $250 worth of gas and tolls.
Well, yeah. I mean, I'm sure he wasn't. I wonder what he was paid to actually deliver the paintings. Doesn't say how big the paintings are or how many there are. Unless it's just no. It says paintings, so there's more than one. I guess you'll just lay that down in a van, and him and the wife can just take turns driving.
Yep.
And get all the way from that 1,200 trip, 1,250 miles.
1,275 miles from the radio station to New Smyrna Beach, Florida.
Yep. Okay.
That's where Meme lives.
So
that's a long drive, my friend.
So I'm sure whoever sent the paintings, I'm sure knows about what he did to drive it there to get them to him. So I'm sure he's got his business now for quite a while.
Yeah.
If he has anything else to ship, he's going to this guy at this UPS store.
Oh, yeah.
He'll get it delivered.
You get your reputation that way, that's for sure. It can't be bad for business, that's for sure.
No.
But 600 miles each way, that's quite remarkable.
Yep. So I'm going to stop for gas a few times, though.
Yeah.
All right, we've come to the end of the program, so we thank you for listening in, everyone, and we thank Bob Lotter for joining us, and hopefully Bob will be with us next week as well. Dave, thanks for sticking around.
Happy to be here on Don Ho's birthday, Joe.
We'll sing a little later.
Uh-huh.
Maybe not. You know, he made a guest appearance on the Brady Bunch.
He did, didn't he?
Yes, he did.